King's birthday. So we're going to go ahead and get started. The name of this book is Happy Birthday, Martin Luther King. And since you see him on the cover, you know what this book is about, right? And you know this is a cover. What is this?
The spine.
This is the spine. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Happy Birthday, Martin Luther King by Jean Marzallo. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January the 15th, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia. His parents loved him very much. Where was he born?
January 15th.
In Atlanta, Georgia. So he was born right close by here. Martin Luther King had the same name as his father, except for one thing. His father was called Martin Luther King Sr. Martin was called Martin Luther King Jr. See how they went outside and played football? He was playing football with his dad. His dad's name was Senior, and he was a what?
Junior.
He was a junior. Good job. Martin went to elementary school, high school, and college in Atlanta. He was a good student. How many good students do we have in here? Just raise your hand. Okay, I see you. I see you. Later, he went to divinity school in Pennsylvania. Divinity school is when you go to school if you want to preach or if you want to talk about things in the Bible and stuff like that. Martin became a pastor, just like his dad, at the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. They were both called Reverend. What were they both called?
Reverend.
The Reverend Martin Luther King Sr. and the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. You remember. Good job. Martin's job as a minister was to help people in need. He visited sick people in the hospital and made them feel better. What was his job?
Making people feel better. Making people feel better.
Martin, he was a minister. He was also a pastor, but he was a minister. So he went and ministered to the people in the hospital. He asked people to not to fight with each other. Do y'all fight with each other? Have y'all seen a fight?
Yes.
It's pretty ugly, isn't it?
Yes.
Fighting is pretty ugly. It makes you feel sad. Don't point. Don't point. Don't point. Fighting makes you feel sad. Fighting makes you feel sad, and it makes you cry, and it hurts. Fighting is not good. So Martin Luther King, he asked people not to fight with each other. He said that there were peaceful ways to solve problems. Like you can just talk it out. You can tell your teacher. You can tell your parents. You can just say, I don't want to, what they call it, throw blows today. I'm just going to be peaceful. And that's what Martin Luther King wanted everybody to do. And like his father, Martin led people in prayer and song. The Reverend Martin Luther King is famous because he helped our country change some of its laws. A law like a rule. So what is a law? It's just like a what?
Rule.
So you have rules here at school, right?
Yes.
So it's just like the law of the school. A law is like a rule. Once there was a law in some places that said only white people could sit in the front of a bus and that black people had to sit in the back. That's not a good law. You should be able to sit where you want to sit, right? I know that's right, child. Martin Luther King said this law needed to be changed. Who said it?
Changed.
But who said it?
Martin Luther King.
When you all are reading stories, you got to watch out for your vocabulary words. It said who? Who said it? Martin Luther King said that it needed to be changed. So if you want something changed, then you got to try to change it yourself. Rosa Parks and other people helped him change it. Now all people can sit in an empty seat like they like. So if you want to go on the bus, you can sit wherever you want to sit. You can sit wherever you want to sit. Because of Martin Luther King and what's the other name I said?
Rosa Parks.
Rosa Parks. Look at this picture right here. They used to have white and black, or not white and black, white and colored. See the water fountains, bathrooms. You had to go in the right bathroom or something bad was going to happen to you. Once there were laws in some places that said that African Americans could use only certain restaurants and drinking fountains. Martin Luther King and many other people helped change these laws. Now all people can share the same restaurants and drinking fountains. How many of y'all, when the last time y'all been to a restaurant? Could you just go in and sit where you wanted to sit?
Yes.
Yeah, you didn't have to sit where it said colored people. You can just go to the restroom. You didn't have to worry about which one to go to. So y'all had some pretty good times here. Once there was a law in some places that said that black children and white children couldn't go to school together. They couldn't go to school together. Martin Luther King and other people, including many very brave children, had this law changed too. Now black children and white children can go to school together. They can go to school together. Martin Luther King had a special talent for leadership. How many leaders do we have in here? How many of you in here have a leadership job in your classroom? Okay, because you all have leader in me, right? Mm-hmm. When he spoke, people listened. Poor people, rich people, white people, and black people, and people from all around the world listened when Martin Luther King spoke. Many helped him work, march, sing, and pray for justice. In the summer of 1963, in the summer of what?
1963.
Martin Luther King Jr. gave the most famous speech of his life. He gave it outdoors. Well, it was summertime, so that was okay. And he gave it outdoors to 250,000 people who had come to Washington, D.C. to ask the president for jobs and freedom for black people. Where was it?
In Washington, D.C.
In Washington, D.C. And when was it? Summer of 1963. In his speech, Martin Luther King said that he had a dream. His dream was that people everywhere would learn to live together without being mean to one another. Now, if he had a dream back in 1963, you would think that you all would not be mean to each other now. So if you're in your classroom and you start being mean to someone, or if you want to bully or anything, make someone feel bad, you think about what Martin Luther King did in the summer of 1963 in Washington, D.C. Martin Luther King Jr. was shot and killed in 1968. When was he shot?
In 1968.
In 1968, because he loved poor people so much, he was given a special funeral in Atlanta, Georgia. That's where he was born. His body was put in a simple farm cart and pulled slowly 2 miles to the cemetery. Thousands of people walked behind Martin in a sad, loving parade. On his gravestone were carved these beautiful words: "Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last." So where is he buried? In Atlanta, Georgia. Where did he go to school? In Atlanta, Georgia. Where was he killed?
In Atlanta, Georgia.
Nope.
In Washington.
In Washington, D.C. Who said that?
Ariana.
Ooh, there you go. You got the power, baby. Washington, D.C. Martin Luther King wanted people to be able to go places together, share food together, and love one another in peace, because he worked so hard for freedom and helped so many people gain it. We honor him every day on this special day. We call this day Martin Luther King Day. And we say to him, happy birthday, Martin Luther King. Everybody say it. Happy birthday, Martin Luther King. Everybody say it again. Happy birthday, Martin Luther King. Now, we have a special code. You got to remember this code. The code is Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. I enjoyed reading this story to y'all, and you are so good. So I'm going to give all of you all the power. to go out and be great. You know why? And you all have books? Because reading is lit. I am Della, the storyteller. And thank you all for sitting with me today.